Welcome to the webinar 8D Process, Much More Than Just 8D Report by Jörg Schneider from PeakAvenue. My name is Sina Hensel. I am part of the PeakAvenue marketing team. Today's webinar is part of the Quality and Engineering Circle. Before the webinar starts, I give you some technical information. You can ask questions via the chat function. We will answer all the questions at the end of the presentation. You can find the chat function in your webinar dashboard. The recording of this webinar is available for you over the next week. I think you're ready. Jörg, your microphone is on now. You can start.
So, hello all together and a welcome from my side to our this year's Quality and Engineering Circle. As you can read on the start page, my name is Jörg Schneider. I'm here in the sales department of the PeakAvenue company. In the meanwhile, about 10 years. And I will deactivate my webcam during our webinar. I will use every bit of the available bandwidth in our high-tech Germany. So sorry, but I will deactivate my webcam now. So what can you expect from our topic AD process more than just an AD report? Before starting with other topics, we have to dive a little bit deeper into the single disciplines of the AD process, what's behind every discipline, just to ensure that we are talking about the same. Even if our topic is AD process, I will talk a lot about FMEA. What does the FMEA has to do with AD? Be patient, solution will coming soon. Keyword may be failure management. And I will show you how to implement, how to use an AD process as a part of your possible implementation of an effective failure management. And as my colleague Sina said, you can ask your questions. You don't have to wait until the end of this plot. Ask your questions, enter your questions into our chat room, and I will try to ask your questions at the end of our webinar. So let's start. Okay. What you can see here, I've listed all the disciplines. I'm sure you know all the disciplines. You are the much more expert than me. But as you can see, there is one more thing. We have a discipline D0 added called preparation. What's behind it in a few moments. But I'm and you are talking about disciplines. But what is a discipline? For example, establish a team. This means, in other words, you have to do something. For example, to establish a team, to perform a failure analysis and things like that. Means someone has to do something. There will be one or more persons responsible for this, and there will be a due date until or when the team has to be established. By saying this, something to do, responsible person, assigning a due date, I guess it's also correct, instead of talking about the discipline, to call this also an action. And instead of speaking or talking about an AD process, it is also correct to talk about an AD project. As you can see here, illustrated with the background graphic, a Gantt diagram based on our software. It's correct to talk, instead of AD process, to talk about an AD project. especially when thinking or in your real life, you may have agreements with your customers. For example, you will have agreed a time interval for your first reaction, and this is comparable to a project. Okay, what's behind the single disciplines or behind the single actions? As I said, we have added a further discipline or action called preparation. This means to gather all the information for customer in case of a customer complaint. I will focus on customer complaints to capture, for example, the failure descriptions. This is not what is not meant is the failure analysis, which is made in discipline 2. What I mean here is to capture just a description word by word, a one-to-one copy, what has your customer said, what is not okay with your product. And also maybe a good idea to attach all the documents you've got from your customer, means the mails, the photos, PDFs, and all the stuff. The benefit of doing this way is you have all required information, all important information on one central place. So, discipline 1, establish a team. At the first glance, but only at the first glance, this may be boring stuff. Establish a team, okay, assign a few persons, and so on and so on. Sounds very boring. But we make very often what we are calling proof of concepts, means we get from a prospect or customer, for example, Excel files, and we try to transfer the content of the Excel file into our software to show the customer or the prospect, okay, your processes can be transferred into our software, and it will look like this way or this way. Okay. And during such proof of concepts, I very often got the reports, not processes, but reports. And when I have a look on the section establish a team, there's very, very often just one single line. And this is not a team. A team size equal 1. This is just a single person. A team requires at least 2 persons. And good practice, as I heard, is a team size between 2 and 7 until 8 persons, 7 to 8 persons. Not more. It's not a talk show. It is a AD process. This is an analysis, and it is a AD team. And it should be a cross-functional team. What is meant with it? Because what is required is a cross-functional knowledge, and therefore a cross-functional team has to be established, means all team members, the team members comes from different disciplines, and also important, they have to have the required skills. But please don't assign just a single person. A single person is not able to solve a complex problem. Next thing you have to do after the team is established, the failure analysis. And this is the very first real challenge within an AD process, because you have to figure out very detailed, what is exactly my problem? What is exactly meant by the failure description of your customer, and what is actually not specified, for example, in the requirement specifications. Yeah. So you have to figure out exactly what is the problem. If you don't do this, it is not possible to analyze what is the root cause behind it. To define the root cause to figure out what is the root cause, you have to know exactly what is your problem. And this is the challenge in discipline D2. When we present our software at a prospect or a customer, we often get asked, do you provide a failure catalog? Yes, we do. We do this because it is possible to work with our complaint management as a standalone solution. You don't need any further modules. You can work with our complaint management where the AD process is integrated completely standalone. Therefore, we also provide a failure catalog. But let's think about what you have to do when you will create a failure catalog. You will think about what are the possible failures which may occur. And we are also often get asked, can we categorize the failure catalogs? Can we split the failure catalog in different categories? Yes, you can. What is meant behind that is, can I assign definite failures, for example, to a product family or to a definite process or to a definite product? In summary, this means I'm thinking about in which process may which failure occur, or for which product family may which failure occur. You may call this failure catalog. We call this FMEA because in the FMEA you do exactly the same, but in a much more deeper way. So it may be a good idea instead of a failure catalog to use the corresponding FMEA. It doesn't matter if you are talking about the DFMEA or PFMEA, to use the FMEA instead of a failure catalog. Next discipline, containment actions. This is, of course, not very interesting stuff. The only thing you have to do with containment actions means to protect any damage from your customer, for example, a production downtime or something like that. But keep in mind, a containment action can cause a lot of work, a lot of manpower required, and it's also possible that a lot of costs are created by your containment action. Think about, for example, sorting out goods in a stock means a lot of manpower required. You have to reinspect all the goods and so on and so on. This costs a lot of money and a lot of time. But this is behind this discipline, containment actions. Very important, maybe the most important point, most important discipline in your AD process, the root cause analysis. Starting to collect, to sample all possible causes and to figure out which is the real root cause of all the possible causes. And after doing this, especially to verify if this is really the root cause. Yeah. Very important hereby is to identify the escape point. The escape point is that point in your process, in your system, where the root cause of this problem should have detected. But the detection of the root cause has failed. You didn't detect the root cause in a very early stage. Important, why? This gives you a hint how to optimize your detection action. And when talking about detection action, I'm automatically talking about inspection plan or control plan. Means it is a hint. What to identify the escape point gives you a hint to optimize your inspection plan. when to inspect which characteristic, which amount of, in which number of parts, which characteristics, and so on and so on. May be a good idea to get supported by the 5 why. 5, for example, by asking 5 times why not detected, and so on, to identify the escape point, and after that to optimize your inspection plans. In a graphical way, you can also be supported by using an Ishikawa diagram. Of course, this is well-known stuff. And in the same way as you can use the FMEA, the corresponding FMEA, for example, your process FMEA, as a failure catalog. You can also use, of course, the FMEA as a course catalog. I call this a course catalog. But you have a real great benefit, because after selecting the corresponding failure from your FMEA, it's only possible to select a course which is really assigned to the selected failure, which deals with the failure. Yeah. And second aspect is you get also a hint how well your prevention or detection strategies will work. If the causes occurs at your customer, this means your detection doesn't work. And of course, if your detection doesn't work, your prevention also doesn't work. After you have identified the root cause, you have defined corrective actions. This means you have to figure out which may be the best solutions, the best actions to eliminate the root cause figured out in discipline 4 and the escape point, of course. The only thing you have done in this discipline D5 is you know which may be the best solution, and you have verified the best solution. Means you have made tests or experiments, analysis, material analysis, or something like that, and you know this may be a solution which probably will work to eliminate the root cause. And you have verified this, as I said, for example, with tests and stuff like this. But at this state, the corrective actions are not implemented. The only thing you have reached with this discipline is you know what to do to eliminate the root cause, and you have verified, you can say, why it is a good idea to implement this or this corrective action. This is what you have done at this discipline. The implementation of the actions found in discipline 5, this is stuff within discipline D6. Means in this discipline, the corrective actions found in D5 will be implemented in your processes, in your business life, and they will be validated. The validation can be done. The earliest time to validate the corrective action found in D5 is after the implementation. Means if you would do this in discipline 5, this would mean that you have found possible solutions, and you will say in the future there will be no complaints. This is not possible in discipline D5. You will have a look into the future. I guess you cannot do this. So in D6, the implementation, okay, you will create a project plan, what is to do to implement, which inspection plans to update, which documents to update, and all this stuff is done in D6. The validation, therefore, you have to wait 3-6 months, I don't know how long, and you have to measure, you have to create KPIs, for example. Will there be further complaints after the implementation of the optimized corrective actions? and things, KPIs like this maybe help you to validate, is there really an improvement by implementing these corrective actions. But the implementation and validation of the corrective actions is done in discipline D6. Very, very important is prevent reoccurrence. What is meant by this discipline D7? You have to check if the cause or the failure can also occur on similar products or in similar processes. How this will work, we will see in the next slides. Therefore, I will not dive deeper into this discipline because I will discuss this with you in the next minutes, more detailed. Discipline, I will jump over discipline D8. This is boring stuff, and I guess it is self-explaining. So let's have a look how to use the AD process as a problem-solving process. Therefore, let's have a look on the basic elements of a typical solving process. One basic element of a problem-solving process is the problem definition. What is the problem? And this corresponds to discipline D2, means to figure out which is your failure. Cause analysis, I guess, self-explaining. This is discipline D4. Why does the problem exist? Means the cause analysis as described in discipline D4. Possible solutions. What can be done means what can be done to solve the problem. This is represented by discipline D5. Which possible corrective actions to take into consider. And the suggested solution means D6, and to prevent reoccurrence D7 means select the best action solution to implement to finally eliminate your problem, the root cause in this case. In summary, this means it is absolutely correct and possible to use the AD process as a problem-solving process. What about continuous improvement? How to use, or is it possible to use an AD process at least as a part of a continuous improvement process? What you do, or the FMEA, derived inspection plans, control plans, flowcharts, integrated CAD drawings, or not FMEA, control plans, inspection plans, flowcharts. Let's focus on that. What is this? This is just a hypothesis. This is just a quality planning, but at this stage, you don't know how your hypothesis will fit the reality. And the reality is represented by customer complaints, for example, internal complaints, and so on. And when talking about customer complaints, I'm automatically talking about 8D process. Means you can use the 8D process or customer complaints to synchronize your planning documents, your hypothesis, FMEA inspection plans, and so on, with the reality. Reality is represented by the AD process. So let's look how this may work. For better understanding, let me just explain, or shortly explain what is meant when talking about master FMEA. It's similar to that what is meant by Ford when talking about foundation FMEA. Master FMEA, for example, can be a valid FMEA, can be an FMEA valid for complete product family. From this master FMEA, the product-specific FMEAs will be derived. And with the product-specific FMEAs, automatically control plans, inspection plans, and flowcharts are also derived automatically from your master FMEA. The advantage of working this way is you have a central place for optimizations, means changes, updates implemented in your master FMEA will be available in your product-specific FMEA immediately and automatically after releasing your master FMEA. Perfect place for optimization and updates is your master FMEA or your foundation FMEAs when talking in 4 CSR words. So, how may this work? The AD process communicates with the product-specific FMEA. Your customer sends you not a complaint concerning your master FMEA. Your customer complains a specific product. But the AD process behind the complaint uses the FMEA as a failure and cause catalog and vice versa. The AD process informs the product-specific FMEA. Your prevention strategy, your detection strategy doesn't work as it should work. This is the communication between AD and the product-specific FMEA means concerning the disciplines D2 and D4, selection of failures and causes. But the product-specific FMEAs also communicates automatically with the master FMEA. You can forward failure, especially new failures and things like that, automatically to your master FMEA. So means the failure from a D process can be forwarded via product-specific FMEA to your master FMEA. And therefore you have a central place to optimize your prevention action, to optimize your detection action, means to optimize automatically your control plans and your inspection actions. Means the continuous improvement uses discipline D2, D4, failure causes selection. It uses D7, prevent reoccurrence, because you have one central place to implement optimizations. All the optimizations are immediately available for all product-specific FMEAs, for example, for all products within a product family. So you have a perfect solution for D7, prevent reoccurrence, implement your optimizations at the master FMEA, and all similar products have the optimization automatically available, means the reoccurrence of the same failure at similar products should be prevented when working this way. Or at a deeper look, what happens behind the curtain here. When having a central place to implement optimizations, updates, and so on, which will be derived on product-specific FMEAs, which will be derived by product-specific FMEAs, you have a central place for this. Means we are not talking only about a simple FMEA. We are turning the FMEA into a knowledge base created systematically and well structured, based on the real life, represented by the AD process, with new failures, which will also be communicated into the FMEA, means new failures are new knowledge which will be implemented in your knowledge base called FMEA. And what you are initiating here is a perfect failure management. By comparing the knowledge within your FMEA with reality represented by the AD process, you have a good option to compare your target state and your actual state. Your target state is your planning, your FMEA, your hypothesis, and the actual state is your AD process, the complaints you got from your customers and so on. The AD process uses the knowledge of the FMEA, for example, failures, causes, actions, and so on, and you get a feedback into your knowledge base called FMEA that, for example, your prevention doesn't work because the failure occurs at your customers. Also, you get a feedback from the AD process regarding new failures. You get the knowledge, okay, my FMEA, my hypothesis is not complete. I have to add new failures, and to think about how to deal with them means the causes which may cause the failure, how to prevent this, and how to detect this at least at an early stage. So, in summary, with FMEA and an AD process, not a report. Of course, I think it's very easy to understand that an AD report is just a documentation of the results of your process. But FMEA and AD process are very effective to implement a failure management system. And what we want, the goal behind this is, and our approach is this, instead of failure administration, to implement an effective, well-structured, systematically failure management. Instead of a static Excel sheet or something like that, this is what we are calling failure administration. We want to reach what we want to get is the FMEA as a knowledge base, as a central place for lessons learned, well synchronized with reality, and reality is represented by AD process or complaint management system.